Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? What's going on? This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy, Scotty B. How's your week been?
So far so good. I mean, it's Wednesday, so you know we got 2 more days of work, sports, and family, and everything else in between. So we'll see. We'll see. Right now, I'm good. How about you?
Man, same. I always feel like after the show, the rest of the week just flies by. So it's like, you know, you get through the show on Wednesday, and then it's a wrap for the week. So now we're good there. It is a ton of things to talk about. I don't even know where you even want to start. It's so much going on.
Yeah, so there is. But let's start. Let's start NFL. Let's start NFL. Adding the 17th game. What are your thoughts? Well, before we even go there, there was they talked about it last year about them adding when they added the playoffs, they added the extra team to the playoffs. That they would be adding, they being the NFL, they would be adding the 17th game, losing a preseason game. There were players that liked it, players that didn't like it. What are your thoughts?
So I like it from the standpoint that we get more football. I agree that the preseason is meaningless, but that's a way for other players from smaller schools or just free agents that weren't drafted to get their opportunity to play. So I think one of the most exciting parts about the preseason is that 4th game when, you know, the guys are just leaving it all on the line and they're just playing. So don't like it from that angle. I felt like they should have added another bye week. And I don't see why they couldn't have just had 2 bye weeks, extended the season, and that would have gave the guys a little bit more rest. But the biggest person that I blame in this is I blame the players.
How so?
I could not understand why they signed that collective bargaining agreement for it to be 17 games. I mean, they agreed to this.
Yeah. Now with that though, you know, they get paid more money. So let's not forget about that part. Instead of 160, you get, you know, an extra game check. And also you don't really have to play that 17th game. I mean, you know, my hammy hurts. I'm a little sore. Whatever. You know, that 17th game may come in handy for a lot of guys, and I do think that it depends on where you're at in your career, if you really want that 17th game or if you don't. Because if you're somebody that's been in the league 10 years or 9 years, you know, you're like, I could care less about this game. But if you're a young player who doesn't make that much money, you're still on your rookie deal, every penny counts, right? And even when you're older, every penny counts. But when you're younger, you're like, oh, I love to play football. I love getting paid. I'm happy to be here, and you do that. So we had Alvin Kamara complain about it, and you know they say the safety thing, and to me, yeah, I mean you can get hurt the first game of the season. You can get hurt in the preseason. We've seen it a ton of times with guys getting hurt. So I mean, to use that is like, to say the league doesn't care. You're still getting paid. It's not like they said that 17th game doesn't go on your contract or you don't get paid for that 17th game, you still gonna get paid. So I don't think that. I think that a lot of the guys are overreacting, and that's where my thing is. I don't think that it was done for them to sign that CBA because it's more money in their pocket.
I can see Alvin Kamara's argument, though. I mean, you got to look at the position that he plays. He plays running back, right? So he plays an undervalued position on the football field. And another game is more touches that he's going to have and more hits that he has to take, which ultimately hinders him from getting a bigger payday because, with the running backs, they only really want to pay you once, if they even pay you once. So, you add another game to it. And, with him, he's getting 20 to 25 touches a game. So I can see from a safety component and just – he wants the season to be over a lot sooner. In the grand scheme of things, I don't understand the value added to it. Like, what value do we get out of having a 17th game other than we get to watch more? Other than us being able to watch more football, what does this change for the NFL?
Scott, are you serious right now?
Yeah,
one week for a team, 1 week for a team, you're probably getting somewhere around $10 to $15 million in 1 week, and that's with concessions. That's with the fans because they plan on having fans in the stands this year. So concessions, fans, TV. That's the biggest part is the TV. So no. There's plenty of reasons why they want to play that the NFL wants that 17th game. For the players, you look at some teams like you have teams like the Dolphins. You have teams like whoever who, if they would have had an extra game, probably would have been in the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, hey, I'm for it. I don't have a big. I mean, that's more sports for us to cover. That's another story to cover. But as far as like the NFL, I think the people who would have the biggest gripes would be the players. But again, they're not playing for free. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean. Yeah, and Alvin Kamara play. He doesn't always play in the backfield. Let's not act like he plays in the slot. Yes, he plays in the backfield, but he's all over. And I mean, it's one game.
So let me ask you this, right? The NFL is going to be at 100% attendance. I think last report I read, 17 of the teams have signed off on that to where they'll have 100% fans. Do you think this is a little bit too premature, or you think that they should be going in that direction?
I think it's a little premature to have 100% capacity. But I guess they better put an asterisk by that statement. I don't know if that's the smart. Now to have fans in the stands, yeah, but 100% is I don't know about that one. I would stray away from automatically jumping out the window and say 100%. I would have started off. I mean, you can't. I don't think it's smart to go from some places at 17 or 20% or 25% to 100%. I mean, by the time the season starts in August, what's that? 7 months, 6 months. I don't know if that's, and I know the vaccine is around, but 100% is a little bit much.
It's a bit aggressive, right? And that's what I thought when I read that. I was just like, okay, so they're already predicting that they'll be at 100%. We still, I think we're where everybody wants us to be as far as we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Like people are seeing that this thing comes to an end, and hopefully sooner than later. I think the vaccine is rolling out. More and more people are taking it. I don't know the exact figures on it, but I just thought it was a bit aggressive for them to say, okay, we're going to open the stadium up to 100,000 people or 100%. And I mean, what? So the average stadium holds what, close to 80,000 people?
No, no. They're more around 60, 60. The average is about 60,000
Okay.
people at
Yeah, I know
capacity.
the big.
Yeah, you got I'm sorry, not wrestling, but Washington at FedEx Field. I think their capacity is like 70 something thousand. Dallas is like 80 something thousand. Now that's for NFL. You know, college they find a way to expand it, and they can fit 100,000 people in there. But
Well, it's the seats. It's the seats in a college stadium. So what they do is they've got more of the benches, and they've got more of the
yeah.
flats.
I'm talking about at AT&T Stadium though, like at where the Cowboys
Okay.
play. So like when Alabama plays there, oh they fit 100,000 people in there, and so on and so forth. I think that again, I think we both agree that 100,000. I mean, now you got me saying 100,000, but 100% is really aggressive. It's I don't think that it's necessary at this time, but
just tell me what I need to know.
I don't know what that was, but yeah, man, I don't know if that's gonna work, and I don't see. I see there being a lot of backlash to that. And now, will they work their way to 100%? I'm sure, but right now, no.
Yeah, man. So the Final Four, our team got eliminated yesterday. Very low scoring game, but it was a good game. It was a real good game. I was shocked that UCLA was able to pull it off, but they played the game that they need to play.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your thoughts on the Final Four?
I think that on the Final Four of the tournament itself.
Tournament itself.
I think that the tournament has been amazing. And again, I know we talked about this last week, but I don't know if it's because we didn't have a tournament last year, or if it's because the games are just that good. I tend to think that the games are just that good. The women's tournament, if it hasn't been better, it's been just as good as the men's tournament. It's been crazy. And you know, shout out to South Carolina and who's South Carolina playing? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. But it's two women coaches. Two black women coaches that's coaching against each other, and it's going to be pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the tournament play too. I think a lot of it has to do with college basketball was so undercovered this year. I think the years previous, like we had Zion, you know, a lot of people was tuning in to like, you know, each year you've got that one player that everybody is like, you know what, I've got to see this player play because everybody's talking about they're just that good. This year, I don't remember just hearing about that player. I mean, I know it was a lot of hype around Garza, and it's been a couple of other players out there that's been a lot of hype around, but not enough to draw you in and say, okay, this is a generational talent. I've got to see this player play. But it's been some solid players playing in the tournament that have put up huge numbers and really showed out. And like you said, they've made the games competitive. I'm looking at this UCLA team. I didn't think they were going to beat Michigan State. And then here they are. I mean, they just got hot at the right time. And, I mean, every week you think I didn't think they were going to get past the Alabama team, but they got past them. I was watching the Michigan game. I said, well, I mean, they're playing them tough. I mean, they're out there hustling. They're a real scrappy team. So they take advantage of opportunities that they can get. And, I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, it- you know, I think that 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 Gonzaga team, I know that they've been number one the whole season, but my God, these guys are amazing. They are. I don't see a team. I don't see a team beating them this year. I know we're going to talk about Baylor in a second, but I mean they have a average margin of victory of 23 points. Like this is crazy. And so I know you talked about UCLA and they're considered a blue blood, but that blue blood is about to get blown out on Saturday. I don't think that and I know it's you shouldn't say that. I'm probably jinxing Gonzaga right now. The kid the Kentucky transfer at UCLA. I think UCLA is considered a Cinderella story, even though they're blue blood. But I think they're going to lose by at least 25.
The guard play for UConn, I mean, not UConn, but Gonzaga has been phenomenal. I mean, those guys are out there doing whatever they want, and it's just textbook basketball. I think that Gonzaga is under a lot of pressure to win. Just the fact that they're undefeated and the fact that they've been at the top of college basketball for the past 10 years. I mean, they've been right there. They've been overshadowed by the Kentuckys and the Dukes and the North Carolinas and, UConn and the University of Virginia. But I think people are starting to recognize that they're a basketball powerhouse and they have to seize the moment. They've got to get it done against UCLA. University of Houston and Baylor is going to be a good game. So in my bracket, I've got Baylor winning, but for some odd reason, I'm going to root for Kevin Sampson. I felt the way that Indiana did him was dirty, and I'm rooting for him, man. And just I mean,
so I heard that Kevin Sampson when he first got to Houston that he was Shady McGrady. I heard that he was doing some shady business there. What the shady business was, I don't know, and it ain't my place to say. All I'm saying is what I heard, and I guess everything is good now, but Houston has a really good team, and I would not be surprised if they were to beat Baylor. But I mean, I think it's only right that Baylor versus Gonzaga this year. I think that's the only matchup that really makes sense because they've been 1-2 pretty much the whole year. They've been those two have been and they don't play each other, but I mean they hadn't played each other, but I have the two number one seeds winning. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Right.
And I mean, on the women's side, I tell you what. On the women's side, normally, you always hear UConn, right? So you got UConn, you got Stanford, you got South Carolina, you got Arizona, right? And maybe a lot of people don't really know about Arizona. They came out of that bracket. They won some games. But you legitimately have three teams that you're like, any one of those teams could win. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Arizona, and they shouldn't because they're in the Final Four. But, my God, South Carolina, their defense is they held Texas to 0 points in the fourth quarter yesterday. Like, that's –
yeah. It doesn't matter where you're playing at. If you hold
that's crazy.
If you hold a team in the fourth quarter to 0 points, second half, however you want to divvy it up, I mean, that's phenomenal defense. I mean, at some point, I watched a lot of basketball and I played a lot of basketball. At some point, the team gets fouled. You hit a free throw. Like something happens.
Something happens where you get
somebody scores. Yeah, somebody
Absolutely.
scores.
It is crazy, man. when I saw that, I couldn't believe it. And then you have Stanford, who was down. They were down, and I think they were down like 12 at halftime. I mean, and they looked like a completely different team on yesterday in the second half. Louisville is no slouch. They're not like a slouch team, you know. And I mean, and Stanford just the way they just put their foot down. I mean, they're the number one overall seed, right? But the way they put their foot down, man, I tell you what, it's gonna be some fireworks on Friday night, man. I'm locked in. I'm sorry. I do get excited for the women's game.
Yeah, so I guess we're all going to be excited, and I mean it's going to be a good tournament. All right, so the last time we talked, the NBA free agency, well, not free agency, but the trade deadline hadn't elapsed yet. So we talked about how everything was going to shake out and where players were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
The Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
How do you really feel about that?
About them getting LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. So look, Scott, we gotta do some sort of amendment to this bet, because I didn't think they were gonna get LaMarcus Aldridge also. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like,
and LaMarcus Aldridge, he'll average more than 10 points for the record. He'll average. Now we're not amending that bet. I don't think he would have not amending that joint. Ooh, no.
So you think LaMarcus Aldridge will average 10 points?
Oh yeah. He's gonna average 10 points. I wouldn't even be surprised if he starts. They say it's going to be a different role. So he's a good shooting big, right? So right now he's shooting maybe about 38% from 3-point. That gels with that offense. He's a big that he can play inside out. I wouldn't say that he reminds me of Chris Bosh, but he's got a similar game to where how Chris Bosh was able to transition his game when he went down to Miami, to where, you know, if you followed him with the Raptors, he played down low. And then when he started playing with Wade and LeBron, he stepped out and started shooting more threes and shooting more jump shots. LaMarcus Aldridge is capable of doing all that. So he's going to gel with that offense. And I wouldn't even be surprised, too, if they bring him off the bench and have him anchor that second unit. They may not even start him. They don't have to start him. And the scarier thing is we haven't even seen Kevin Durant. I don't even know if Kevin Durant's played in 2021. He's just been out. And, you know, after today, they're going to play Houston. They're going to murder Houston, and they'll probably be in number one after today. It is getting ugly out east. It is ugly, man. It is tough, man. It is tough. That's tough sledding right there. I like what the Lakers did. I think the Nets bullied the Lakers into signing Drummond. Like there was nothing else that they could do. Yeah, they had to.
I hold on a second. Let's get a couple things clear, right? Because enough is enough. All right, yes, LaMarcus Aldridge is a good player, but he ain't LaMarcus Aldridge of 2017 or 2018 or 2016. He ain't that LaMarcus Aldridge. You know what I'm saying? Blake Griffin is good, but he ain't Clippers Blake Griffin. All right, so I tell you what,
he's not Detroit Blake Griffin.
Huh?
He's not Detroit Blake Griffin. What are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I got Detroit like, but what's the guy's name that just went to LA? He just made me so mad. Yes, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond is still Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond can still give you 20 and 20 on any given night.
Oh,
He
yeah,
can give you,
easy.
and he's still gonna give you that when AD and LeBron comes, because he gets you 20 and 20 without plays being called for him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's all fine and dandy that they got Blake Griffin and they got LaMarcus Aldridge. Who else did they get? I'm sure they got somebody else. You know, but with that being said, all of those fancy little things and people in there, if LeBron comes back healthy and AD comes back healthy, and with Andre Drummond and Schroeder and Morris and Kuzma, they're still gonna win a championship. That's still the favorite to win a championship. Yeah, Brooklyn it looks all nice and dandy, but who knows if Kevin Durant's gonna be healthy this year?
So here's my thing, right? I don't know if they're the favorite. I say that it's going to be interesting. I agree with everything that you said, that Laker team is just as good. But let's not let Brooklyn off the hook. I mean, they got James Harden. They got I won't even count Blake Griffin, but they got LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, and yeah, he's not the same LaMarcus Aldridge of 2017, but he gets still, I believe he was still averaging like 14 points and like 6 or 7 rebounds, and he's still a viable option there. I mean, he's another big body that is capable of scoring and is capable of knocking down the outside shot and stretching the defense. And I mean, when you got Harden, Kyrie, and Durant playing on the wings, I mean, that just gives him this more of an opportunity to just operate down low if he's got to. So, yeah, man, that team is loaded. And I will agree with you here. Andre Drummond is a 20 and 20 guy. If he's not 20 and 20, he's 20 and 15. Schroeder has picked up his play since LeBron has been out. I realize that they're only 2 and 3. Harrell is coming on, and Gasol, I think he's just going to take a seat and just collect the check and start cheering his team more. Because Gasol is lucky he ain't get bought out, man.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna let him chill until the playoffs. You know, use him, here and there until then, just so his old bones don't freeze up. But Gasol is, like you said, he's just there to really get a check, right? I think what's happening right now with Brooklyn is the best thing that could have happened for the Lakers, and some of those other teams. I tell you what,
Gasol out there looking like Luke Walton.
Oh man! But I'll say this:
that's how Luke Walton used to look.
Look, I'll say this: you still got the Sixers. Don't discredit the Sixers. Yeah. They're gonna be right there. I think you can't sleep on Milwaukee. I mean, they just signed Jeff Teague. Is one of the Teagues. I think it was Jeff Teague. I think that helps with their backcourt. But again, don't sleep on the defending Eastern Conference champions. Miami is right there. And again, I'll say this just like I said in July and in August. They play great team defense and they have shooters. And if you have that, and with those guys playing together, they can beat Brooklyn. They could beat Milwaukee. They can beat Philadelphia. Now they just can't. And adding Oladipo, because we didn't even talk about them adding Oladipo. I think adding Oladipo, and if Oladipo finds a way, he's not playing tonight, and they're playing Indiana. That's another subject for another day.
He doesn't ever play. He hasn't. He plays like. If you look at it, I'd be surprised if he's played half the games of the season. And maybe they're saving him for the playoffs or saving him for whatever, but he didn't play that good. I do agree that it was a good pickup. I don't think that they had to give up much. I thought they gave up Olenek, which is a little bit of depth, which, I mean, in grand scheme of things, there's nothing. But they got
Trevor Ariza. They got Trevor Ariza.
Do you think Trevor Ariza is more useful than Kelly Olynyk?
Yes, because he plays better defense. And he can
Okay.
still shoot an open three just like Kelly Olynyk.
Well, so here's the thing, right? I'm not comparing Trevor Ariza to Olynyk. I think that Trevor Ariza, most people would agree, he's a better player, but I think they need that depth. They need big bodies. With Trevor Ariza, yeah, he'll probably play and he'll get in there. And I haven't really watched a ton of Miami basketball, so I don't know what the rotation looks like. But Bam needs more help than they do at the three. I think Butler and Robinson and Oladipo and Hero, throw none in there, and that rotation is pretty solid. I mean, yeah, you could throw Ariza in there, but I think Olynyk is more useful.
Yeah, I mean, you say tomato, I say tomato. Let's get to the winner of the week. All right, let's go.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, yo. So this week, and I'm mad that I didn't bring it up when we started talking about Kevin Durant, man. But I got a double winner of the week, man. My winners of the week this week is Kevin Durant and Michael Rappaport. If you haven't heard, man, they've been going back and forth on social media, and it was a big thing to where Michael Rappaport commented on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was sensitive, and he went back personally in his DMs and pretty much cursed him out. And then Michael Rappaport posted it on there and talking about gay comments that he had made, and he was talking about his wife, and then now they've got lawyers involved, and it's just one of the biggest do-flicker things that I've ever seen. Kevin Durant. Okay, Michael Rappaport, I love him to death. Remy, he's funny. I like a lot of his Instagram stuff, but Kevin Durant, man, he ain't got to respond to Michael Rappaport. Like, what are you doing, man? Well, what are you doing? You got bigger fish to fry than Michael Rappaport. And I do get that he needed to curse him out and put him in his place, but why? For what? What are you doing, man? And then Michael Rappaport, I mean, my God. I mean, all the jokes you say, and now, you're all butthurt because this man was talking about your wife. And, I heard somewhere that he's changed his Twitter profile to Tasashi69. And it's just, it's not even entertaining. It's just stupid. What are your thoughts on this, man? Like, what do you have to say about this? Like, what's going on, man?
All right, I'll start here. That Kevin Durant is somewhat sensitive, right? Kevin Durant is sensitive. I'll follow that by saying that he he probably was wrong. No, he was wrong in the things that he said, right? And some of the things that he said. But with that being said, Michael Rappaport is a New Yorker. I think everybody knows he's a New Yorker. I can almost guarantee with me being from that area that he has heard a lot worse than that, right? And this goes back to something we said, probably 3-4 years ago, that everybody is so sensitive right now, especially in this climate right now. Everything is super sensitive, and you need to watch what you say. That's where Kevin Durant is wrong. He didn't even need to do the back and forth with him. It was more Kevin Durant than Rappaport in there. But for Rappaport to go to his lawyers and then make this public, he looked like a little punk. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not. And again, if he felt bullied and he felt like Kevin Durant was really going to fight him or do something like that, I get it. Kevin Durant is probably 112 pounds at 7 feet. He ain't going to do. Maybe he has some people that may do something. But Michael Rappaport makes not the same amount of money. But Michael Rappaport got people that could do stuff for him as well. And it shouldn't get to that. My thing is he knows the code. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gotta be super macho. It's not about being macho or anything like that. But for him to just go and get a lawyer involved and things of that nature, I thought was a bit over the top. Kevin Durant wasn't disrespectful to his wife. He said that his wife would is mad at him because the little bit of money that he got left, he used for a lawyer for something this petty. And you know, of course, you can't tell somebody how to react. So in this sense, I get it. But with that being said, Michael Rappaport has said so much worse about, just say Trump, LeBron. I mean, exactly. Like the things that he said about LeBron and so this all started when I believe that Barkley asked Kevin Durant what Durant felt was like some dumb questions. And he just gave him either a yes or no to some dumb questions that he perceived as a dumb question. And Michael Rappaport tweeted about it, called him a baby and things of that nature. And he even and so Kevin Durant replied to him with a direct message. Now with Kevin Durant, he has to understand who he is, and that like you're in the NBA, the climate that we're in right now, people they what's the word? They screenshot everything, you know. So I felt like Kevin Durant felt like there's no way he's gonna screenshot this and make this public. But like he said, Trump didn't give him the attention, and he's just been trying to egg people on so he can get some attention. So him even saying that you should be on high alert that he may try and make this public to get some fame off of my name. And so in that case he should have thought more. But I do think that Michael Rappaport looks like a sucker here as well. He looks like a sucker.
He looks like a sucker, but the problem is that he will get the last laugh. This isn't going away for Kevin Durant.
Right.
NBA is probably going to investigate. He's going to get
privilege in this too.
Huh?
There's a lot of privilege in this right now. You know, they're going to look at Kevin Durant. I mean, he's an old white man sending screenshots from what this has Karen written all over it because he's playing the victim. And my fault, Scotty. And it's not like he wasn't calling Kevin Durant names either. He was calling them names too, calling him a goofball and you know. So it was like, come on, man. He just looks like a clown right now.
Yeah. So what happens in this scenario, and this is for all the trollers out there, people that think that they can just say whatever they want to say to people. He probably didn't even think that Kevin Durant would respond to that. He thought that he was just going to get away with it, and he got his feelings. But unfortunately, like I was saying, the NBA is probably going to investigate this. What people have to remember is that, yeah, this was a private conversation, but it's been a lot of people that have had ramifications for private conversations that they've had. I was reminded today, you know, Donald Sterling, that whole incident, that was a private conversation that somebody had recorded. It wasn't like he necessarily said it in a public forum, but because he said those things and it was recorded and it was brought to the forefront, he ultimately ended up losing his team. And I don't think that would be the case for Kevin Durant, but some sort of consequences are going to be paid for that.
I don't think I see. I don't really like that comparison. You know why? Because Donald Sterling, that one incident was a private conversation that was recorded, but Donald Sterling had already, at this point when this happened, he had 20, 30 years of racist activity. You know, of being a racist, of treating people of color like crap. You know. His buildings that you know majority of minorities stayed in, he was a slumlord. He didn't pay his black employees what he paid his white employees. he was a known racist from for years, for decades. So that was just that conversation was just ultimately the tip of the iceberg, and it ended everything that he had, and which it should have. It should have. I mean, I don't.
No, I think that it was just the start of what is happening in our society. I mean, you look at that. I think it might have been 2012, 2013. Some of the things that he was able to get away with decades ago, society changed. But one thing that was mentioned then, and I believe Mark Cuban was the one that kind of brought it up because he was the one that went to bat for Donald Sterling, and he wasn't really defending his comments per se, but he was defending the fact that it was a private conversation. And if people should pay the same consequences on being secretly recorded and not knowing that they were secretly recorded. So it goes along the same lines of, yeah, did Kevin Durant do everything that Donald Sterling did? No. Is Donald Sterling's crime a lot more for being a racist, and did it catch up to him? Absolutely. But it does teeter that line where it's a private conversation that was made public. How do you handle the punishment? You know what I mean? And this is what the punishment was for the owner. What is going to be the punishment for the players? Because we had the same, I guess, predicament. I think his name is Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, right? So remember when he had got the DUI, and I think it was like he ended up getting, at first I don't even know if he even got suspended, but they ended up suspending him long term. But they were talking about the punishment wasn't equal for if a player had been caught with a DUI, what would have happened to them opposed to an owner? And should the owner have been held to a higher standard than the player? And it kind of put in that whole argument into play. So I think the league, I hope not, but I think the league is probably going to look at that, and it may be a simple fine. I mean, hell, you look at what just happened to Leonard Myers. You know, in that conversation, yeah, that wasn't a private conversation, but he did get a fine, and he did ultimately end up getting cut. Now, Kevin Durant, Brooklyn's not going to cut Kevin Durant, but that's the type of climate that we're dealing with now, to where he's going to have to pay something. He's going to have to. It's not going to be that easy to get out of it.
I mean, the fine, whatever fine that Kevin Durant gets, yeah, I'm sure it won't be. So here's the thing: the things that he said, of course, I'm not saying that they're right, but we've we've seen people say these things a bunch, and like you said, the climate has changed. He's gonna have to. He should do some sensitivity training. I mean, you know, things that are par for the course when you have these type of situations. I'm not.
At least he's going to have to do sensitivity training. I mean, he's probably signed up for it now. Like at bare minimum, they're going to make him do that. Yeah, he's going to have to do that for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's
stupid. It's stupid because it's a conversation that should never have been made public. You know, I think we've got an old school mentality, and I'm surprised that Michael Rappaport doesn't have that old school mentality.
He does. What he did.
No, he can't. He can't possibly, because he made this public. but you would think that with his credibility, that somebody would think like, okay, he would be man enough to handle it like a man. I mean, he was talking mess like a man. So they should have been able to go back and forth in the DMs. It should have been that. If Kevin Durant seen him and tried to smack him on sight, then they got to man up and they got to fight. This is how it goes. This is what it is. But he didn't handle it that way.
Yeah, man. He said, how P-word are you? Your wife doesn't even respect your female dog butt. Yeah, I edit that joint. That's how they used to edit the movies back in the day on regular TV. But yeah, man, I think that Katie, honestly, all of this, Katie needs to just chill on social media. I mean, because that's the only thing that's really getting him in trouble. Honestly, if you think about it, every time there's some sort of issue with KD, it has to do with social media and him being a little bit sensitive. In this case, I feel like he was defending himself, but he could have just let that joint go and let it be what it was. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
So let me ask you this. So speaking of sensitive people, Russell Westbrook, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, I don't even know why they even brought it to his attention, but he has some pretty harsh criticism.
So go ahead, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say harsh criticism. We'll say criticism.
It was harsh.
Yeah, we'll say criticism, and I mean, he got a spade where it is. I mean, spade's a spade. Russell Westbrook puts up phenomenal numbers. We've seen him do the triple-double. I'm a fan. You're a fan. A lot of people are a fan. But the fact is that he didn't have a championship. And Stephen A. made that argument. And Russell Westbrook and his wife responded to Stephen A. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so we just talked about Kevin Durant being sensitive, and I think that and I could be wrong here, but I think that Russell Westbrook took Stephen A's comments the wrong way, because when you start talking about making it out the hood, you was a champion since you've been just for making it to the NBA. It ain't about what you do on the court, but it's about how you help events, his people and the people that he can affect. I get that, but that really didn't have anything to do. And it's not often that I agree with Stephen A, but it didn't have anything to do with what Stephen A was saying, right? This all started when he got that triple-double the other night, the 35 points, 21 rebounds, 14 assists, which I think is an incredible stat line.
Incredible,
and I disagree with Stephen A on that front, where it can't just be about the numbers with Westbrook, because I mean 35, 21, and 14 ain't just happening just because yes, Westbrook is the type to get those type of stats, but it shouldn't be all about stats, but that stat line is amazing. So when he said that it shouldn't be all about the numbers, and it kind of felt like he was discrediting his triple-double or that triple-double, and I can see where Westbrook would take offense to what he's saying. But with that being said, that didn't really have anything to do with what Stephen A was bringing up as far as like him winning the championships, because ultimately, if you look at it in the playoffs, he hasn't done what he was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So he has come up short in the playoffs. He's had Harden as his teammate twice, Durant. He had Oladipo. He had Paul George. And so yeah, he has come up short. But I feel like Westbrook should have took that as a challenge, because Bradley Beal is his teammate right now. But I think he should have took that as a challenge and looked at it like, yo, let's get us to the playoffs and see what we can do once we get to the playoffs. Because can the Wizards make a playoff run? Absolutely. Can they make a run to get to the playoffs? I think so. I
think the harsh reality of it is that it's not his fault. That Wizards team is just not a good team.
Right.
And he was dealt that hand. What concerns me a little bit, and we always hear the stories about Russell Westbrook being that killer, being that dog, having that fight, having that Kobe-ish type. I mean, those are the stories that I was accustomed to hearing that. I mean, Kobe Bryant even said it like, yo, if he's got to go into a dark alley with somebody, he's taking Russell Westbrook with him just based off of the games that they had while the pickup games they used to play when they were playing at UCLA. I mean, the practice facility and the pickup games during the summer. It almost made me hearing Russell Westbrook's comments like that's what he tells himself to sleep good at night. And that's not typically what you want to hear from that alpha guy. You want them to have that Jordanish, that Kobe-ish thing to where, like you said, that motivates you. You know that, like Jordan said, like I took it as motivation, and I kept working. And maybe behind the scenes, that's what he's doing. But it didn't come off that way. It came off that, you know what, I can retire tomorrow. I'm content with how everything played out. Screw you, Stephen A. I'm good with what I've been doing. Not that I'm that killer. And don't worry, I may be down now, but I'll be back up.
Now, if he would have said that, I'm all for it. But that's not. Yeah, that's definitely not what came out. That it came out like.
Nah, it didn't come out like that. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't I'm down now, but I'll be a killer. It was more of
a violin story.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it what it was. I mean, it was just like, yo, shout out to me. I do so much for the Black community, and I do this for this individual. I'm a winner. You damn straight you're a winner. You doing better than me, Russell Westbrook. Hey, I ain't going to argue with you there, but when we're critiquing you on the court, at some point, we want to see that triple-double turn into a W. And at some point, we're seeing you in your own situation, right? Yeah, Bradley Beal is the star, but this is the perfect opportunity to where, and maybe he's lost a step a little bit. I don't want to say he's. I mean, it seems like
he just had 35, 21, and 14.
So hear me out on this, right? In years past, before, it was like he was but when he was playing with Kevin Durant, it appeared like he wanted this type of situation where he could just shoot, he could just do whatever the heck he wanted to do, and he could just go all off. Once he lost Kevin Durant, and I don't know if it was a matter of playing in Houston last year, he's starting to get back with the triple doubles and stuff. You don't see the same killer instinct or that I'll take over the game, or I'm just going to shoot. I'm just going to do what I want. You don't see Russell Westbrook playing the same way as he did when he played with Kevin Durant. Now, statistically, the stats are there. So I can't really say that he's lost a step. I'll just say it's a different Westbrook in my eyes from what we used to see back in the day opposed to what we're seeing now.
Scott, I'm sorry, I disagree, man. I mean, he still has it. I'll give you one play when he dunked over. I think it was Biombo.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, if you didn't see a killer right then I don't know what you're looking for. I mean, so again, we gotta remember that Wizards team as a whole is not really a good team. A lot of those guys that are starting for that team will probably not start on
no team. No, might not even be on some teams.
Correct. You got Bertans, but he's been hurt. You got old boy from Gonzaga, that the first round pick from last year. He's been okay, but I mean, who's to say that he's even ready for it? I mean, I think he's a good player, but they're young and they just got guys that most people wouldn't even really want. So I mean,
I don't think nobody wants them. I think some of those guys, like you said, some of those European guys that they got, and the Bertans, and I know they gave him a whole bunch of money. He's supposed to be some sharpshooter, but the fact is he just hasn't shown up. And really outside of Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, and Roy, that's it. That's the team right there. I mean, Thomas Bryant, he's been hurt But even when he's there, I mean, he's decent, but he's not dependable to the point to where you're like, okay, we're going somewhere with this team. And I think what people expected when we got Russell Westbrook was like, you know what? This is the piece we need. This is the next step. This is somebody that Bill can play with. And yeah, they're putting up the numbers, but I mean, they're in last place in defense. They're the worst defensive team in the NBA. Like, that's terrible, man. And it's just, I don't know. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So and we'll see. We'll see. Can they make a run in the East? I think they're what, like 11 games under 500. I don't know where they at in the East. I think that, I mean, they're 12th in the East. Well, I mean, they can make a run. They are 5 games out of the last spot in the East. So I mean,
So let me ask you this. Realistically and honestly, do you think they're going to make a run this year?
who, the Wizards?
The Wizards.
Yeah. I mean, after what I've seen from him and Stephen A. the last couple of days, I wouldn't be surprised if they went on some sort of winning streak and won like 5-6 in a row, or one, and then or maybe like 13 out of 17 or something like that, and ultimately climb back into the race. I wouldn't put that past them because, I mean, let's be honest. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are superstars. So if they can find a way to pick those other guys up and carry them, and just so they can make a playoff run, absolutely they can make a run. Again, they're only 5 games out of the 8th seed, or 5.5 games out of the 8th seed. If Boston, I mean, Miami's playing Indiana, Boston's playing, I think, Dallas. I mean, if both of those teams lose and Washington wins, that's almost 2 games that they catch up on those guys. So,
no, you're right. I mean, they can make a run.
They can make a run.
They can make a run. I just, what those guys need to do is they need to pick up the defensive intensity. That's what the other bums on that team to do. If they want to do any service of Bradley Beal and Westbrook, they can start playing some defense. I mean it's just reality. I mean, if they want to stick around and they want to be there, they can start playing some stronger defense. And what baffled me is why this team didn't make a move before the trade deadline. And I get it. Maybe nobody wanted those players.
I was about to say that.
My God.
Yeah, it would have been tough to, like. I mean, because I think they're gonna be all right cap wise in the next couple years also. So it's gonna be interesting, man. But to answer your question, I think that they can make a run. Will they? We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know, but they can.
Yeah, it's not worth betting on. Hopefully, I pray that this is what inspires Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Maybe the team will rally around Bradley. I mean, will rally around them and say, you know what? Let's have our leaders back. Let's do what we got to do. But it's kind of unlikely.
All right, so I got 2 more things before we get out of here. The first thing is real quick. MLB opening day is tomorrow. Who do you have getting to the championship? Who do you have winning? I don't even care about the divisions. Who do you have getting to the championship? Who do you have winning the World Series?
So I want to go with the Nationals, and I want to say that the Nationals are going to win the World Series. I think the Padres. I think this is the year that they figure something out. It's too much talent on that team to where I mean they're my dark horse team.
Who do you have them playing?
I don't know, but I want to see the Padres do some things this year. I mean, that outfield is just a phenomenal outfield, and that team is destined to be better than they are. But yeah, I want to go with the Nationals, man.
Are you going to go with the Nationals or the Padres?
I want to go with the Nationals, man. But I got high hopes for the Padres this year.
Oh my God! All right, so I'm not going to be.
Who you going with, the Braves?
No, so I'm not going to be a homer. I do think that NLCS. I think NLCS will be Braves versus Dodgers, but I think the Dodgers just have too much, and I think the Dodgers go back to the World Series. I think it's going to be Houston versus New York in the ALCS, and I think Houston gets back to the World Series, and I think the Dodgers go back to back. I think that the Dodgers just have way too much and way too much firepower. They added pitching, and they got too much, dog. I know you said Nationals. I didn't give you, but
they do have a lot. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, right now they've got the hot hand, and they're the favorite. I didn't really want to go with the Dodgers. I wanted to pick somebody that's like the hometown team, and hope that it can be a good.
You ain't getting that parade again. You ain't getting that parade again. At least not this year. All right. So, lastly, there's a lot of we didn't really talk about the draft, but there was a lot of pro days today. You know, they didn't have the combine this year because of COVID and everything. So you know, everybody's doing pro days and multiple pro days. And so a couple things caught my eye was Jamar Chase and Justin Fields. Those two guys today at their pro days, you know, Justin Fields ran a 4.45 or something like that. And that's the fastest since RG3 ran a 4.41. They say he threw the ball great. And
his deep ball looked good. His deep ball looked really good. I'm nervous because, you know, we've got that number 3 pick now.
You don't want him?
I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot to give up. We know that they're going to take a quarterback, so it's either going to be Justin Fields or Jones. I'm torn because I haven't been the biggest Ohio State fan. As far as like Justin Fields,
don't really.
Yeah, as far as Justin Fields, I wasn't high on him, but those workouts look good, man. That deep ball, and I understand it's in shorts and t-shirt. You know, nobody's really chasing you around and assimilated, but my God, can that boy throw the football?
Yeah. I think that we're gonna look at Mac Jones, how we looked at what's his name? Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker Mayfield being the number 1 pick was so shocking. I think that Mac Jones going to the 49ers is gonna be so shocking that people are gonna be calling for him to play immediately. Where I think that he shouldn't play it down this year. I think that Garoppolo, because listen, and I think I told you this before. No matter what y'all say about Garoppolo, that y'all can't win without him. You guys stink. Like, since Garoppolo's been with the 49ers have been terrible when he hasn't played. When he played, y'all have been damn near Super Bowl contenders.
That's an unfair argument. I want to tell you why. Number 1, the backup quarterback has been trash. But what I do like is now.
Most backup quarterbacks are trash, though.
Yeah, but now you put that pressure on Garoppolo. Because see, he came in as the golden boy. You know, Mr. Porn guy, and, you know, doing the most. Now he was doing everything that, you know, I'm about to get in trouble. But look, now he got to look over his shoulder. He got to look over his shoulder, and somebody else is there, and that pressure is on. And if he can't perform, then, hey, they're going to pull in somebody else to do the job. So, I mean, I like the move. hopefully Zach Wilson looked good. I mean, that throw that he threw, I mean, a lot of people were giving it flack. Sam Darnold, he made the same throw, but I mean, it's still a hell of a throw. I don't want them to draft Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is going to go to the Jets. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to go first. I think Zach Wilson is going to go second. And I think we'll have our choice between Matt Jones or Justin Fields. So we'll see which one we pick.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, what's up?
This is just a feeling. I think that I think that the Jets keep Sam Darnold and they trade that number 2 pick. They trade down. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade that pick to like the Patriots, and which you it's rare that you see that, right? Because you don't want to help your rival, but I can see them trading that pick or trading back. Maybe not to the Panthers. But I see them trading that number 2 pick. I do think that Zach Wilson will go 2, but I don't think he deserves it. I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback. And I think that Fields should actually go number 2. But I think it's pretty much, set in stone that Zach Wilson is all but drafted at number 2. So
So no, there's some legitimacy to that because a lot of teams are trying to get Sam Darnold. A lot of people think that he's got a tremendous upside. I mean, now it's not an upside of a Patrick Mahomes, but he's got a low ceiling of maybe like a Matt Ryan, and then he's got. I mean, he's got some talent there that if
Matt Ryan is the low ceiling.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Ryan. Listen, if y'all have Matt Ryan right now, y'all got a favorite to win a division.
So maybe his low ceiling is a Kirk Cousins, and maybe his high is Matt Ryan. Yeah, it's somewhere in there, which is pretty decent if you put him around the right talent. I mean, Matt Ryan has went to a Super Bowl. What? He's got an MVP, right? So despite whatever I say, I mean, he's been consistent and he's been. I mean, if you put him on most teams, yeah, he's there.
I do want to answer this question. If you are the Panthers, would you stand pat at 8 if the Jets pass on the QB? Well, I really don't think that the Jets are going to pass on the QB. I think they're either gonna trade their pick, and move back and get some, or they're gonna draft a quarterback and trade Sam Darnold. But if they do pick up, let's say Kyle Pitts, right? If they do draft Kyle Pitts at 2. If I'm the Panthers, yes. At 8, because the 49ers are 3. Who's at 4? Miami, right? Miami's at 4. They're not gonna take a quarterback. So yeah, I would stand pat because I think the Eagles are at 6. They'll take a quarterback, and there's so many different quarterbacks this year that
I don't think the Eagles are going to take a quarterback.
No. Well, the Eagles don't have that pick. Miami has that pick at 6. Remember, Miami drafted back.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, the Eagles are at 12, and they'll be foolish not to take a receiver or a lineman. So they're at 8. Detroit. I don't think Detroit's going to take a quarterback either. Cincinnati's not going to take a quarterback. So if Atlanta's going to take a quarterback, Atlanta would be a good fit for Justin Fields. But if I am Carolina and the Jets pass on a QB, unless I'm dead set on one of these guys that's going to go top 3 or top 4, then yeah, I'm staying still and I'm gonna get my quarterback.
All right.
So
sounds good, but we'll break down the draft a little bit more as we get closer to it.
Yeah, we got a month to round one. Literally a month too. Ain't that crazy? 30 days. All right, but yeah, so the next week we got some guests coming up. So next week, we got the host of Or Not podcast. The ladies are gonna join us. We're gonna get them to talk some sports, man. We're gonna bring them into our world. We went on their show and we went into their world. So we're gonna bring them into our world and have them talk some sports. Should be a fun time. Yeah, man, and we'll go from there. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all over Instagram, everywhere. So but yeah, man, you got any parting words for the people?
Married at first sight.
Oh my God. Don't start this.
Hey, but look, right? So I don't even know if he even helped Temptation Island back on.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah, that dude off the chain, man.
He's crazy. He's the most delusional person. We have. I think we have some friends like him that are so absolutely delusional. Like, dude, are you kidding me? But we're not in the business to call. We're not gonna be no Michael Rappaport. We're not gonna put nobody's business out in the street. But yeah, man. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony.
It's your boy Scotty B. So you ain't see that one coming. You ain't see that
we out,
curveball.
We out.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.